call our Board of Appeal and Equalization meeting to order. We start with new business, which is a brief overview from our assessors. See here, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourselves. And
sure.
I have a market information assessment as our first thing on our agenda. So
okay, so
I'll just
kind of go over
for a while.
the memo.
Sure.
Okay. My name is John Springer. I'm the residential appraiser here, and this is Kathy Corti.
Yep.
Corti. She's the commercial senior appraiser. So just a brief overview, and hopefully you guys got the memo, but for the Painesville City, for the 2022 assessment, we used 51 residential seasonal sales in our state study, and that was from October 1st of 2020 through September of 2021. The sales resulted in a median ratio of about 80% after the time adjustment. So it was low like the rest of the county, but this is actually one of the higher ones. So I don't think we saw as much movement in Painesville as throughout the whole county, but the sales ratio that is calculated by taking the estimated market value divided by the sale price and then adjusting it for the time trend up to January 2nd of 2022. So property, and then we did add a new sales layer, and we put the URL on our value notices for property owners to have a resource to look at some of the sales that popped in through the year and compare their property to it and see, if it's within the ballpark. And that ballpark is our ratio, median ratio needs to be between 90 and 105% based on the DOR's standards. So being at 80%, we need to move values. We see that we're low. Let's see, so the total value for the district now is $262,800,000. That's up about 11.5% from last assessment, and that includes about $4.75 million in new construction. There was new construction in the commercial side of $2.3 million, and I guess I'm not sure exactly what that was, but $2.3 million in commercial, and then it says right here, warehouse addition, partial construction of the senior living complex, and addition to S.J. Lewis. Residential new construction, majority of that was 8 new houses that were started, 4 were completed, 4 were partials. 2 new houses started in 2020 that were completed in 2021. There were 4 outbuildings, 6 interior remodels, and then plenty of other smaller projects. For the market changes in each area, we got residential, average was between 16 and 22%. And I have broken out townhomes, twin homes, about 10 to 12%. Agricultural, there's not much of it, but we did go up about 10% in our land values. Commercial, about 1 to 2%, and apartments and storage units were about 6 to 10%. And this is just averages based on if I went out and viewed them and made characteristic changes, and there are different neighborhoods, markets to break out. So just averages, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have for the overview.
Okay.
Any questions on that? And you should have the sales packets that we sent out as well. It'll give what our value was last year and what our ratio was, what we were looking on each of those sales.
All right. We have public comments and concerns. Last I checked, nobody had made an appointment. It says we're going to start there, but I didn't think anyone was done. Okay. I'm sorry, you said that was it for your overview?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't cutting you short.
Nope.
All right. Then we have questions or other concerns. Bill, if you wanted to talk about your property?
Can I stay here when I go up to the podium?
I don't think that microphone works anyway.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work. I think you're fine.
Bill Fuchs, I think most
If you
everyone.
just turn your microphone that way just to be safe. There you go.
I know Kathy, and I believe this must be the job that you spoke of. So, as most folks know, I bought the old Episcopal church here in Painesville. And I seem to consistently buy these rather unique properties. And I tried to be proactive. I spoke with Kathy, sought, is that the right word? Sought you out, and you were kind enough to come down and talk. And that's kind of where that process ended, and then we took possession of it. And then I did get the 2022?
So Bill,
2023. The 2023 valuation notice. And,
Bill, can I interrupt you just a second? Can you just give us the property ID number so we know for the record what we're talking about?
absolutely, property information,
Sure.
subdivision name, Oak Park Edition, lot 007, block 006, subdivision CD 70015.
Is there like a 7, would that start with 7?
Parcel number?
Yeah.
Parcels.
70.392226.0005.
Thank you.
Street address is 320 Wendell Street. So it came back from
Just like
the...
Bill, can you say that one more time?
Absolutely.
Are we talking about the church property?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if that was the,
I can repeat the parcel number.
was that the correct parcel? That is?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Good.
Good.
So it came back from the county valued at $52,400. My frustration, and the reason I'm here this evening is, I'll be honest with you, I'm disappointed that after 130 years, the property changes hands for the first time in the condition and the situation it is, and that you could set a value without walking through it. I'm just sharing with you that's pretty frustrating. When I really tried to be proactive and wanted to get this kind of, everybody on the same page, to get a letter in the mail that, that basically the classification, and the first time it's really been valued, to not even walk through it was slightly disappointing. And I'm not that hard to find, and I would have really enjoyed the opportunity to show you some of the situations with the building. So I'm just going to briefly touch on a few things here. We're talking about a 130-year-old church, and that no inspection was done. We're talking about a building that has tube and knob wiring active, so you can't insure it, can't get a loan on it. We're talking about a property that had frozen pipes, solid as an iceberg when I bought it. 3 non-functioning furnaces, 2 of which are still non-functioning and will likely be replaced. I would have enjoyed showing you the fieldstone foundation that's coming up through the floor. I would have enjoyed showing you the leaking roof with the fallen plaster, with the bats flying in and out of it. I would have enjoyed showing you the rotten floor in the church hall, and the windows are rotten with the glass panels. Panes are falling out of it. I would have touched on the fact that there's 0 street parking. That building has incredibly limited usage. That it has not a single stitch of insulation in it. And a lovely 60 amp buzz fuse electrical service. So I won't make this long. I want to read about a 4-minute letter, and then I will shut up and put up. This is from my realtors, Flanders Realty, 1 page, rather brief. To whom it may concern, Bill Fuchs recently purchased the property at 320 Wendell Street in Painesville, Minnesota. Painesville's old Episcopal Church site sits on this property. Regular services in this church have not taken place for some time. My understanding is that the church was officially decommissioned quite recently. However, in 2013, that's 9 years ago, the Episcopalian Church entered into an agreement with Paul Bugby, whose family had attended the church for many generations, to take title of the property and move the church building to his resort, Bugby High Resorts, a number of miles south of Lake Coronis. The regular services would not take place after the move. The plan was for the congregation to still use the church for weddings and special occasions. Unfortunately, due to the cost of the move as well as the cost of numerous badly needed repairs, the plan never came to fruition, silent T. As Mr. Bugby was unable to carry out the plan, the church sat mostly vacant since 2013, used by the congregation for some special events only. In July of 2021, Mr. Bugby approached us and asked about selling the property. In these conversations, we came to realize that there was a deed restriction that followed the title to revert to the Episcopalian Church if it was not moved to the resort. Mr. Bugby listed the property with us, but we felt it was best not to post it on MLS until a resolution with the deed restriction was obtained. We did, however, begin to show the property to folks we thought might have interest. One party made an offer of $15,000 that was contingent upon inspection. The inspection was performed and a long list of issues was found. The buyer chose to sign a cancellation rather than proceed with the purchase. I also took a local contractor through who I thought might have interest in buying the property, fixing it up and reselling it. The contractor did have some interest, but decided the cost of renovation was too high, and then other potential buyers were taken through the property but showed no interest. Bill Fuchs had then submitted an offer of $15,000, knowing that the property needed a lot of work. This offer was accepted. We came to a resolution with the deed restriction, and Mr. Fuchs took title of the property. Mr. Fuchs has asked us to explain some of this and give our opinion on the market value of this property. Due to the necessary upgrades and the reaction of other potential buyers, we believe that $15,000 is a fairly accurate estimation of the property's current value in its current state. I should also mention that through this process of me buying it, it ended up being that the Episcopalian Church took 50% of the $15,000 and Mr. Bugby took the other half. They split it down the middle. So I have no idea how this process works beyond showing up here tonight and making my case, but that 56 or whatever it was, $52,000, that's an accurate price when I'm done with it. I just sent a check to Carl Miller from Valley Construction 2 days ago for $10,000 down payment on a $32,132 roof and soffit and fascia package. I've already spent $2,000 to $3,000 getting the one furnace running, replacing broken frozen pipes, broken frozen toilet, frozen pipes, fixing the rotted floor somewhat in the basement, but we're going to end up actually having to resheet it. Like I said, I think looking at it from a perspective of what's something worth, but in my opinion, and I shared this with Kathy, that it's worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it. There weren't a lot of people lining up to pay for that. So, I don't know if it can be reviewed or revisited, but like I said, I think that's a pretty realistic price when I'm done with it. You know, by fall, it's probably a $50,000, $55,000 value. But to start at that, in my opinion, was inaccurate. So I thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
So, comment on it, Kathy did make me aware of the potential purchase that was happening. At the time it was exempt, being used as a church. I don't think there was not too many attendees, but it was still classified as exempt. For the 2021 year, we had it at $172,900.
Can I ask where that number came from? Because no one seems to come up with it. Where did that come from?
We have characteristics in our system, and if we don't have a phone call from, exempt properties are a little bit different than, properties that are on the tax rolls. So they might get overlooked by whoever receives the value notice. So we don't know. We do review them once every 5 years. So
I would say, given the fact that it's been a church, an exempt church for 130 years, that number was a joke. I mean, it was almost pointless.
And we are, in the county, we are looking at our church values closer, because we think we are high on them. They are exempt, but we are trying to dial them in for specific situations like this.
Yeah.
But our value was at $172,900. After discussion with Kathy, and she sent me the roof bid, it was quite a bit lower than what it actually came out to be.
Yeah.
But I did not go out to the property. I was never approached by you, but I did make my changes based on comments and what I heard.
And if I needed to approach you, I apologize. I did not realize that was part of the process.
Yeah, hold on, let's just let Josh go ahead.
Yeah, and that's what you're doing it right now, we're appealing, so, the 52,400 is just we made adjustments because of the things that needed to be repaired on the property. I do think, once it is all done, I don't know what your plans are for it, but once it is all done, just the foundation alone, it would be more than the 52,400. I don't think that would be accurate after work has been done on it, but the 52,400 is what it came in at. You purchased it for 15,000, so I'm assuming that's kind of what you're aiming to get for value.
As I stated, I think that $50,000 to $60,000 is a reasonable number when it's a usable building.
Okay. So what I would recommend is, because I haven't actually inspected the property, I would like to, I would recommend no change to the value for now. If you guys want to take a vote on it, you can reconvene after I do that, or you can recommend no change, and then we can go to county board and I can work with you for the county board level of it. But without inspecting the property, I would have to recommend no change.
Maybe we should give a little breakdown between the land and building value.
Oh,
Make that up.
and currently our land value in Painesville is more than the 15,000, so I think that would be a baseline. But our land value right now is 21,300 on this property, and building at 31,100.
And my position is, you know, if someone wanted to buy a piece of land, there are a lot of beautiful city lots available that you don't have to spend $25,000 tearing down a 130-year-old building before you use it.
So traditionally, my understanding is that where there's been no inspection, things like that, we can't really take action on it.
I would recommend no action.
Right. In a case like this, I think there's probably, it sounds like there was some mixed wires between whether or not one was requested and needed. I think it makes sense. I mean, how long would it take to inspect if we wanted to come back?
If we wanted to, I could come,
we
we
can
could set up
do
an
that.
appointment.
Right, I know, I'm curious, how long would it take you to generally do that?
If we set up an appointment like next week or something, I would be fine with that.
Anytime.
It's just looking basically at the repairs that need to be had, so it'd be a quick turnaround. I don't know how long we have until the next meeting would have to be for
I think there's
reconvene,
like
but
20 days. Whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice that he could get, and Bill would be, I'm sure he'd be open to it, that he would be able to take some pictures so that,
Absolutely.
you know, so supporting a decrease, because like you said, without inspecting it, but.
Yeah, and
The only picture I brought with was the frozen pipe.
yeah, and like I said, I can't speak on it at all, but I would be glad to set up an appointment with you.
Yeah, I think if this were a case where, you know, had you built in talks and he said you can't come in here and inspect it, I would say let's not take action, but that's not what we're dealing with. So I'd rather we come back in a few weeks after you've had a chance to look at it, and we can all make an informed decision at that point.
I think that would be best.
Okay.
I guess I have one comment.
Yeah.
This isn't a situation, we have a few around town and even right downtown where the property would be worth more if there wasn't a building ready to fall over on it. It's not at that point.
Well, I think that is the case, given the fact that, you know, what limited its sale, besides all the things I just stated, is that you have a 130-year-old church with no plumbing at all, no sewer and no water service, and one 40-amp, 110-volt wire feeding it. So, yeah, as I stated, I think that property would have sold like that, probably for more than I paid for it if it was a sitting and empty lot.
Oh, of course. I mean, I agree that a lot at what was it, 20?
For this one specifically, it's 21,300.
Because it's a pretty big lot.
Yeah, it's typical. I think it's, I don't know what the square footage is, but yeah, it's typical of that area.
I toured it in 2016, it was in pretty rough shape then, so it's been, still updates.
I mean, we have properties and homes in town that if they weren't there, there'd be, you could get more for the property than with a house. You have to have the expense of tearing down and,
Well, I kind of look at it as somewhat similar to corner drug, which,
that's what I was kind of referring to.
I haven't even investigated what that sold for, but, I toured that and I almost bought that. And, it would have been in that $10,000 to $20,000 range, and I think
I think they paid 10.
Yeah, and the tax and the value of that was crazy also, there are just these situations, and not to beat a dead horse, but, in some ways, it somewhat reminds me of when I bought my credit union, which was valued at, make sure I get this right, $437,000, and I paid 92. And that, there I had to take it to court, but we got it straightened out.
So Bill, we have two options. We as a council can vote on it tonight. I think our recommendation would be no change. And then you could take it, work with John and take it to the county level. I'd prefer you just come back here.
Yeah, I agree.
We get it done quicker.
If that's an option, I'm all for it.
We would just reconvene at a later date.
So I think I'd rather we reconvene and do an inspection, take care of it here rather than sending you to the county first.
Great. Appreciate all your time and attention.
So, do we need to take a vote on that then? No change and reconvene, or, I don't know, I guess I don't know the
I think
terms.
it's just gonna be
No,
reserved.
until we
Right.
assess the
Do you
property.
generally vote on those?
Well, you can do it one of two ways. You can acknowledge that he came forward with a reduction, but you're not going to make any change until he's, or consider a change until the inspection is done. And then at 6:30, you can, or you can set a date for the next meeting. And then at 6:30, you're just going to recess.
Well, I would entertain a motion for a continued hearing date to address Mr. Fuchs's property. And I believe at that time, we're only limited to those who have been tabled from this meeting.
That have been heard here.
Yeah, you make a motion that there will be no more appeals.
The appeals are closed
So,
for further appeals.
Usually it's within a week or two.
Yeah, I was just gonna look at it. I had it
I was gonna say, I thought usually it's the next week.
Yeah,
I had it say 20 minutes.
There has to be a certain amount of time, short time.
Well, I would entertain a motion to set a new date now, once we get our timeline figured out. And then once we get closer to 6:30, I'd entertain a motion to close the appeal period.
No, we're just
No
gonna
more
recess.
recess.
Right, but there are no more appeals.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just the rules. We can't.
Right, but we need a motion officially declaring that.
I give you a motion, but I'm not on board.
I'm sorry, what do we want a motion to?
We need a motion to set a hearing date to talk about Bill's property. And then once we get closer to 6:30, because that's how long we have
It's
to be
20
open.
days. You can't go beyond 20 days.
Right, so we have to look at,
Something within 20 days.
Jennifer, we got a date in mind?
You have a million things.
Oh, I have an idea. How about April 19th?
No, there is not a meeting, okay.
That's the point. Bill's going to be here for that meeting.
No, that's a different meeting.
That's the joint planning.
Start 10 minutes early.
18th is the
Agreed.
Oh, 18th is the joint planning? Oh, let's do that.
Oh, we're so busy this month.
April is the busiest month, but
Yes.
that's not a bad idea. What does your schedules look like to maybe do a,
Like a 4:45.
I'm open. I
Or
would assume
30-ish.
only I would need to come. I don't think Kathy would come, so.
and we would hold it in the conference room, you would not be held.
Okay.
Well, actually, it's after 4, so we could do it anytime after 4 in this room. So we could do 4:30.
That works.
What day?
The same night we have the joint
It'd be
plan.
Monday, April 18th. directly before the joint planning and city council meeting,
Okay.
which will be another 3-hour meeting.
No,
Don't be
Knock on
so
wood.
sure.
Okay. I'll wait till I get the email so I can go down.
we'll be starved.
At 4:30?
Yeah.
I would say that would give you a little time to grab a water and use the restroom before our 3-hour meeting.
Okay,
My grandson doesn't get picked up till after 4.
I'll make the motion Monday, April 18th at 4:30 to continue discussion on Bill's property.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion to set a continued meeting for Monday, April 18th at 4:30 for the purpose of addressing Bill Fuchs' property on Wendell Street there. Any further discussion on that? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, that carries.
Thanks, folks.
Thanks, Bill.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
I know, we're real.
And if you guys have any questions for us, we got 4 minutes that we have to stay open for, but if there's anything.
How many calls did you get?
Calls in Painesville, I had 3 calls. One was an appeal from, I think it was an appeal or an abatement. But I spoke with the guy a couple of years ago, and he was gonna write me a letter if it made sense to him, but never got anything. The 2 other ones were fine after explanation, but it was surprisingly quiet in Painesville.
Was the one that you got on the appeal from Hudson, was it the Hudson Street address?
Labs was the name. But,
Overall.
I'd say that, Jennifer.
Valuations increased. We expected our boards, this was our first week of boards, we expected them to be packed. But it's very, very quiet. We just came from Painesville Township, and I usually have at least 5 appeals at that one, and we had 2.
we'll say I had one this morning that was fun. There was like 5 walk-ins, so it was an interesting meeting.
And do they have any ground, do they have some solid ground to stand on their appeals?
Not the one, well, the ones that walked in, like, I haven't viewed them. I looked up at them after the fact. Their values are fine. They're just more so concerned with what the taxes will do next year. And that's what most calls are, but we don't.
I have a couple of people here that own buildings downtown, and theirs went way down. Their valuation,
I
and
think that's what we're seeing.
they're kind of upset about it. So I told them to call you guys.
No one contacted me
Okay.
about it,
Well, one of
but
them, she doesn't care, the other one said, well, I do, because I might want to sell, and, you know, when it goes down $10,000 or $11,000, that's.
yeah, if we were basing them on, last year's sales, if we see here that it starts to pick up.
Yeah.
But I know that, I was working with Randy, the assistant company, he's been out here before, and, we need to focus on the downtown area, as far as what, separating, and I did that, like, the buildings that have like living above it rental stuff seem to be holding their values, pretty good. It's the ones that don't have that extra above it that, that's what they're at.
Because mine stayed about the same.
No, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Tonight, we were looking at payable in 23, correct?
Yep, the 2022 value for next year. That's-
Yeah. Because what we're paying in May, by May 15th, that's last year's, and that was
Yep.
last year's discussion.
Yep.
It's 6:29. I think at this point we can entertain a motion to close any further appeals so that when we come back, we're only looking at the Wendell Street property.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Gene. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Neil to close the appeals so that when we reconvene, we're only talking about the one property. Any further discussion on that? Favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? None. That carries. And it's 6:30, so we will stand in recess. Nobody else is here.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We have that form?
Yes.
Great. For